calcium will deposit in your bones and make your joints stiff, and it'll keep you kind of a lethargic. It'll lower your metabolism. There's a lot to it.
And so what, obviously with your background and, with chemical engineering and knowing nutrition and things like that, did you, what were some of like the main reasons that you that you were like, okay, I got to look at this? I mean, were you experiencing health issues yourself, or did you uncover something? You're like, oh man, wait, I'm doing all this, but I'm not getting any of these nutrients. I'm not getting, the right, or they're not being absorbed. I guess what kind of was that light switch for you?
So to answer both of those thoughts, one was I finally did a hair analysis, and now today we offer an upgraded version of that ships to people that makes it easy. And even if they shave their head like you do, you can do beard, you can do underarm, you can do pubic, you can do chest. Most women don't have much chest hair, so I would say do one of the other options. And hopefully not beard hair. Jeez, that would be zinc on a runaway train. Zinc controls testosterone. It's So anyway, and therefore like hair production to some extent. Anyway, so yeah, there's that. There was my own thing where I started to have really debilitating levels of brain fog, and then I think just stress. I think a lot of people at some point in their life will get to a place, hopefully, where they feel better enough, they've improved enough to realize how bad they felt for a while, and how they were chronically stressed most of their life. I want that for people. I want them to feel better in it, and that's I mean, getting some quick wins anytime you're pursuing some sort of change is good. So that's why, well, I'll just pause there on that and say that, I mean, the other aspect of this, right, was someone really close to me. So I started thinking about longevity a long time ago because I was born to older parents. Okay. And sure enough, my mom's health started to go down in her 60s. And then it really went down quickly, Josh, when she started taking medication. And I always had a window into this, but I didn't have clear solutions like we have today. And she had, one surgery, then more medication, and medication never makes someone well. A friend of mine, who's a really famous doctor, told me that that's one of the things he learned about 3 years into his program. And it's one of the most disheartening things that he's ever seen come true is that no medication he's ever prescribed has ever made someone well. It's maybe reduced and got them out of the red zone a little bit, but man, I mean, outside of going to the ER, there's so many warning signs that the body gives us, but usually we're too busy grinding to listen to these warning signs. And that I would encourage people to think of your body and your brain and your everything, your relationships, all of this as being like both a long-term and a short-term investment. You want to do well today, be able to produce and make good decisions, and you also want to think long-term and invest in your health and invest in things that are an ROI one way or another. Like figure out, all right, if I invest $1,000, $5,000, 30,000, whatever it is, 300, then it will somehow probably be a 10x or more return, most likely. And I think when it comes to health, it's probably far beyond that, because it's also quality of life, satisfaction. There's so much, and that's why when you go to something like a Tony Robbins seminar and others, they'll put health at the bottom part of the pyramid, then like mindset, then everything else. Because if you don't have enough energy, you can have the most bulletproof mindset, and it doesn't matter if you don't have enough cellular energy to get out of bed. And then there's just varying degrees of that, right? So I look at energy and being able to do well financially as like one and the same. At least one begets the other to a certain extent. Yeah.
And so, throughout, kind of with your journey, then, what you experience and with family and things like that, and you thought you were like, hey, I'm doing the right things, I'm taking nutritional stuff, I was an athlete before, I was, healthy and dialed in, but what I'm doing right now is not working. And then that's where you're like, okay, hey, nutrients obviously aren't getting absorbed through the tests that you said the hair test, I think you said, and different things like that. And then so that's kind of gotten you on the path, like, all right, we got to figure out a better way for absorption of nutrients.
Yeah, I mean, and for people listening out there, there may be not that in the health, some warning signs. I'll just give you a couple: constipation, headaches, your mood like not being stable and even. If you get angry easily, that could be iron overload. That could be magnesium deficiency. That could be. So all of these things tie back to certain elements that you're either high in or low in. So it's not even, to what you're saying, it's not even that you might be low in something and deficient in something, although that's common, and everyone we've seen has some sort of deficiency that's holding them back in some way in their life, and of course their health, and of course their life. But it's also, oh well, she has too much calcium or he has too much calcium, and therefore because they're taking vitamin D and that's causing calcium to overabsorb. Well, what's the result of that? Does that really matter? How much does that really matter? I heard calcium was good. Calcium will deposit in your bones and make your joints stiff, and it'll keep you kind of a lethargic. It'll lower your metabolism. There's a lot to it. Nutrition becoming personality is one thing I've become very just famous for saying again and again.
Right. So once we kind of figure out what's going on, and then we kind of start to figure out what we need, then that's kind of where the delivery system and the particle size of what Upgraded Formulas offers gives that extra ability for getting the maximum amount of absorption that you need.
Right. Yeah, with like, why does that really matter? And people talk about this. When it comes to minerals specifically, this is what your food breaks down to. So no matter what diet you're following, what foods you're eating, not eating, it's all a mineral balance in the body. It's the chemistry of the body. It's that periodic table that builds up, that our whole universe is built on. And, it's incredibly important. So when we're not absorbing something, to make this crystal clear for someone, like it's like a river that needs to be flowing and it's not flowing. So if you need water, like you got to like, there's none. So every aspect of your body that requires water,
right,
doesn't work. And that's how it is with all of these elements that are just about as important as water, which of course breaks down to hydrogen and oxygen. But when you look at making energy in the body, you need magnesium, you need oxygen, you even need some copper to actually make energy in its raw form, to have the energy to focus, to have, people want to brag about how long they're working, which I think is kind of a silly brag, but there's no way you're getting to those long work weeks and enjoying them and being able to enjoy any time that you do have off and be present if you don't have this dialed in.